Yellowstone volcano, referred to as a supervolcano in some circles, is located in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming in the western United States. A supervolcano refers to a volcano capable of an eruption producing more than 240 cubic miles of magma. Yellowstone has a caldera, which is a large depression formed when a volcano erupts and collapses. The caldera itself measures 70 by 45 kilometers or 43 by 28 miles. Welcome to our channel. I'm a geological scientist who held a previous position in a volcano research laboratory. I've worked at many field locations, including at the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. That's me. 3 gigantic explosive eruptions have occurred at Yellowstone in the past 2.1 million years. The 3 eruptions, 2.1 million years ago, 1.2 million years ago, and 640,000 years ago, were about 6,000, 700, and 2,500 times larger respectively than the May 18, 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington State. In this figure from the National Park Service, you can see the relative sizes of the calderas and the total volume that was ejected. There is a hotspot beneath Yellowstone, similar to the hotspot responsible for forming the Hawaiian Islands. This magma plume, like the one that formed the Hawaiian Islands, is deep and stationary, but as the North American plate moves to the southwest over the hotspot, its surface expression migrates, creating a 750-kilometer or 450-mile long track of volcano complexes, including dozens of calderas beginning in northern Nevada, as seen in this United States Geological Survey, USGS, image of 16.5 million years ago and reaching Yellowstone National Park 2 million years ago. The trail of volcanoes marks the surface manifestation of hotspot volcanism, where a plume of mantle material rises into the crust, as seen in this figure from the USGS, is stored, then erupts. 15 to 20 caldera-forming eruptions have occurred along this particular hotspot. The most likely events that occur at Yellowstone are hydrothermal explosions. Then, earthquakes are also likely and can be in the magnitude 7 range, such as the magnitude 7.3 1959 event. The next possible scenario is an eruption of magma causing lava flows, interspersed with a few moderate volcanic ash eruptions. Some eruptions are explosive and some are flows of basaltic lava. Remember, volcanoes can be explosive or effusive. There are many factors that determine the relative violence of an eruption. Volcanoes have a complex behavioral pattern depending on many factors like the amount of water involved and the part of the magma chamber that is affected. Eruptions occurred as groups clustered in time, separated by non-eruptive periods. Yellowstone's most recent volcanic eruption was an effusive lava flow that formed the Pitchstone Plateau 70,000 years ago. Nobody was around to witness Yellowstone's last lava flow. Humans were not yet living in North America 70,000 years ago. Note that between 10 and 12 million years ago, an event dropped ash to a depth of 30 centimeters or 1 foot, 1,600 kilometers or 1,000 miles away in northeastern Nebraska and killed large herds of rhinoceros, camel, and other animals at the Ashfall Fossil Beds State Historical Park. Check out Cold War Prepper's video about the ash hazard. We'll link it below. Here is a figure from the USGS showing ash distribution of several U.S. eruptions. Note the smaller distribution of the 1980 Mount St. Helens eruptions in the upper left corner compared to the larger Yellowstone eruptions in the center of the map. The next possibility is a major explosive caldera-forming eruption. According to the USGS, a super eruption is the least possible scenario for future volcanic activity. The chances of it happening in our lifetime are literally 1 in a million. Like many other things in life, the rarest events are often exaggerated. Hydrothermal explosions are the most likely of Yellowstone's volcanic hazards. Currently, volcanic activity is seen by numerous geothermal vents across the region, such as the Old Faithful Geyser. With very little warning, thermal features can erupt as geysers and leave behind shallow craters. Another consequence of Yellowstone activity is ground swelling, indicating ongoing inflation of the underlying magma chamber. Geologists closely monitor the elevation of the Yellowstone Plateau, which has been rising as quickly as 150 millimeters or 5.9 inches per year, as an indirect measurement of changes in magma chamber pressure. A caldera may undergo episodes of uplift and subsidence or lowering for thousands of years without erupting. Notably, changes in uplift and subsidence have been correlated with increased volcanic activity, earthquake activity. Volcanic and tectonic activity in the region cause between 700 to 3,000 earthquakes annually. The USGS states these earthquake swarms are likely caused by slips on pre-existing faults rather than movements of magma or hydrothermal fluids. In August 1959, a magnitude 7.3 earthquake occurred at Yellowstone and created a 73 million meter-ton landslide that dammed the Madison River. 28 people were killed by a landslide and the subsequent flood. Michael Pollan, the current scientist in charge at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, has stated that, quote, a strong earthquake could do a lot of damage to the park and impact visitors, but it's not going to set off the volcano. The system doesn't work like that. According to the analysis of earthquake data in 2013, the magma chamber is 80 kilometers or 50 miles long and 20 kilometers or 12 miles wide. It also has 4,000 cubic kilometers or 960 cubic miles underground volume, of which 6 to 8% is filled with molten rock. This is about 2.5 times larger than scientists had previously imagined it to be. However, the key point is that scientists believe that the proportion of molten rock in the chamber is far too low to allow for another supereruption. The Yellowstone Volcano Observatory issued a statement on its website stating, although fascinating, the new findings do not imply increased geologic hazards at Yellowstone and certainly do not increase the chances of a supereruption in the near future. Contrary to some media reports, Yellowstone is not overdue for a supereruption. There are monitoring networks of 26 seismic stations, 16 GPS receivers, and 11 stream gauging stations. Scientists also collect information regarding temperature, chemistry, and gas concentrations at selected hydrothermal features and chloride concentrations in major rivers. A prediction would be possible potentially years in advance. In summary, another caldera-forming eruption is theoretically possible, but is very unlikely. According again to Michael Pollan, the scientist in charge of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, quote, the most common misconception about Yellowstone is that it's overdue for an eruption, but volcanoes don't work like that. They erupt when there is a sufficient supply of eruptible magma in the subsurface and enough pressure to get that magma to the surface, and right now, neither condition exists at Yellowstone. The chances of an explosive eruption happening at Yellowstone are 1 in a million. Similar to many hazards, personally, I'm not worried about this. The most likely eruption would probably result in a lava flow or, less likely, moderate ash fall. Though we can't say for sure what's going to happen, unlike earthquakes, volcanoes usually do give a warning, and there are many scientists studying and measuring this data constantly. A supereruption at Yellowstone in the future is not guaranteed. It may never erupt at all. Be aware there could be one elsewhere on Earth. Be aware and prepare. There are other volcanoes I worry about a lot more than this one. Stay tuned for information about that in future videos. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. For more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. The information provided in this video is based on research conducted by the United States Geological Survey. Please find links to this research below for more details.